The Dallas Stars get a gritty, gutsy playoff win in Vegas as they take down the Golden Knights by a final score of 4-2. And this series is tied, baby, coming back to Dallas. Let's discuss next on Locked On Stars.
Your Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. This series is tied, Stars fans. The Dallas Stars put together a clinic in the third period against the Vegas Golden Knights, and they shut it down. They take game 4 by a final score of 4-2, and they come back home on Wednesday night for game 5 with a chance to take a lead in the series. Can you believe it? All the road teams so far in this series have won. Vegas took the first 2. The Stars returned the favor in what was a gritty and gutsy playoff performance in game 4. The Stars did exactly what they've done pretty much all year long away from the American Airlines Center, and it was beautiful down the stretch. Nerve-wracking, albeit, but they certainly got the job done. We're going to talk about the clinic defensively. We're going to talk about Wyatt Johnston, even Evgeny Dadonov, the fourth line cashing in. So much to like out of game 4. And an important one, if that. It felt like Dallas had to win. You can't go down in a series 3-1 to the VGK. So a gritty, gutsy playoff performance, and it was embodied by Roope Hintz in that last shift. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time, by the way. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. And as I just mentioned, Roope Hintz embodied everything you have to do in order to win a Stanley Cup playoff game. You have to put your body on the line. You have to sacrifice, and sometimes you get rewarded with the empty net goal. He had a tough first period turnover, which led to the first Vegas goal, but after that, he got better as the game wore on, even adding Pavelski back on that top line with Robertson. They started to find their rhythm again, and Roope, for all the flack I have given him in the first 3 games of this series, those are the type of moments you just have to have in a Stanley Cup playoff game in order to get wins, especially on the road. The block shot, putting his body on the line when everybody was dog tired. I mean, Dallas was beat. I mean, Miro was dead. He played 28 minutes. Chris Tanev and Lindell were fantastic in the game, and they led the Stars in blocks. Dallas ends up with 24 block shots on the night. They were phenomenal down the stretch, and they really just gave Vegas a taste of their own medicine. And in a period where Vegas had the puck the majority of the time, the Stars outchanced them 5-on-5, 7-5 in the period. That's how much of a defensive clinic they put on, but a wonderful, wonderful shift from Roope Hintz and his line in general, just playing in Vegas territory. They could not get lazy. They couldn't afford to get lazy in the third period. There was a lot of high flips, and there was just a lot of surviving, but they really limited Vegas to the outside, and Otter came up absolutely huge when he needed to be. But other than that, it was a very, very tidy defensive display from the Stars with a 5-man decor, because Niels had a couple of shifts in the first period. He had a really weird transition that ended up leading to a scoring chance, and it was like, okay, that's your night, Niels. Thanks for coming, but you're not going to find the sheet once again. Tanev played his best game as a Dallas Star. He ends up with the highest game score on the night, 5.02, 4 blocks along with Lindell. That pairing was just, they were lethal and just shutting down Vegas. And in Vegas, they had their opportunities and they cashed in. But for the most part, the Stars just hung around. It wasn't a game where Dallas really dominated by any stretch, but they just hung around and stuck in there and didn't allow Vegas to get out of arm's reach. And then Dallas they went to work. And the turning point of the game was returning the top two lines to their original form. Another big credit to Pete DeBoer. He was outcoached in the first two games, I thought. Even though the Stars played really well, I didn't care for the adjustments. He's made the right calls here in games 3 and 4. Credit to him. It did spark a little something. Pav was finally in the mix. He was in the fold. He wasn't necessarily driving the play, but it was finally good to see 16 just be a part of the game, it felt like, because he had really been non-existent in the first 3 games. Good to see him back in the mix. And then you get benefited with the Pietrangelo high sticking or roughing minor, whatever it was. And that's the turning point about midway through the second period. And then boom, Wyatt Johnston again on the power play. You need a big goal. Who you going to call? It's Wyatt, baby. It is Wyatt Johnston. And boom, he ties the game at 2. And then Dallas just goes to work from there. The fourth line was fantastic. I mean, Craig Smith should have been in the lineup to begin this series, but him and Dellandrea have provided some juice, and it's wonderful to see. Dellandrea gets inside position. I talk about it all the time, getting to the net front, get to the interior of this Vegas defense. Another adjustment Dallas made was just throwing pucks on net from everywhere. If Vegas is going to take away the middle of the ice, just shoot it from everywhere. Shoot from the inline. Shoot from behind the net. I mean, shoot from the sidewall. Just funnel pucks towards the net. And you see that with the Dadonov goal because they're making a concerted effort to shoot high on Thompson because it turns into an adventure half the time. There's a ton of rebounds, and now they're starting to get to them, and they're really creating havoc because they're just throwing pucks on net, and Dadonov gets rewarded to tie the game. But a wonderful shift by that fourth line. They all pick up a point on the Dellandrea goal, who just gets inside position on Eichel, and Smith just rips it off of him, and then it deflects off the shoulder and in, and then Dallas just took care of business from there. And they really survived the first period. Vegas controlled most of the game, but I mean, for the most part, the Stars had some looks, and it wasn't like they were taking on water by any stretch of the imagination. They outchanced Vegas in the game 23-20. It was really even, and just a really, really gutsy playoff win. You had to feel like you had to steal 2 in Vegas. You were happy with the game 3 win, but you couldn't go down a couple of games to Vegas with how thin the margins are between these two teams. I mean, frankly, it's the only series that has an even opponent in it within the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. At this point, it's the only series that's tied at 2. All the others are 3-1, and it just feels like one team has the upper advantage, but it really is super even. But Dallas has been the better team for large stretches in this series, even in their losses. And it was tough to see that in the first 2 games. It was really tough to see that, especially with the bounces that were not going their way, but they're starting to earn some of those by the way they're going about their business. And we have to show some love to Jake Oettinger. He was great. He was great. Especially when you needed him to be. Look, he's not going to stop everything. It's hockey. He's not going to stop everything. And yes, he needs to make stops in big moments, but look, he's been special at times. He's been special, and he was in that third period when Vegas was coming wave after wave, and so was the group in front of him. Look, don't get it twisted. They were great in front of him, but some great stuff. They turned it around in that second period, as I mentioned. out shooting Vegas 17-6. They got doubled up in shots in the third, but of course that was dictated by some of the play. They had to be on their heels. But after the second TV timeout, I want to say it was that fourth line. It may have been Ben Johnston and Stankoven that had about a 45-second shift in Vegas territory, and it kind of flipped the mindset. And then they stacked another shift on top of that, and they started to play on the offense a little bit more than just sit back and allow Vegas to come downhill, which you're going to have to live with due to the fact because Vegas is going to pinch. They're going to send everybody. But that little 3 to 4 minute stretch coming out of that second TV timeout where they just killed clock. They kill clock. They force Vegas to go 200 feet, and they put up layers and layers of defense, and it made it really, really tough on them. I mean, just really fantastic stuff, and a heck of an effort to tie this series up at 2 games apiece. It felt like it was getting away from them early, and winning game 3, as I mentioned, could change the entire complexion of this series, and it certainly has. They have Vegas thinking a bit more. They weren't particularly crisp in the game either, but I mean, really, really even teams, and it's a heavyweight battle. And I truthfully believe if the Stars get past this, it's going to be the toughest series they have. Maybe bar none a Stanley Cup final. Look, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but it just feels like this is the toughest opponent the Stars may face. And maybe that's a disservice to some other teams because Colorado's very good, of course. But it just feels like Vegas is kind of a team that can be the dragon that has to be slayed within the Western Conference. But phenomenal stuff on the road, just battling their bag off to get themselves back in this series, and desperation will have you do that. Desperation can work in mysterious ways in the Stanley Cup playoff. And yeah, I mean, it's a credit to everybody. It was a full team win from the minute on, and a game where they just hung around, and that's what you have to do on the road. They hung around, capitalized on their opportunities, and then boom, you steal home ice advantage back, and game 5 will be huge. Of course, every game from here on out is big, but now it's a best of best of 3, and see if you can take 2. But great stuff from the Stars. Let's continue to discuss this wonderful game 4 win. Let's celebrate it. Some more great performances. And we'll dive into some more of the adversity the Stars are going through in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is obsessed with finding you ways to save money on tickets. You can save up to 60% off by buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, you name it. Go ahead, take out your smartphone and download the Game Time app. It takes 30 seconds and you can get last minute deals to any show, to any sporting event you want. And they also show all the fees up front. You can get a view of your seat before you buy, so you don't have to worry about any obstructions, railings in your place, and go ahead and enjoy the game. Enjoy Game 5 of the Stanley Cup playoffs in Dallas. Go to the Mavericks game with Game 6. Anywhere you want to go to it, use Game Time. It takes all the guesswork out of buying tickets, and that's the wonderful thing about Game Time. Download the app, as I mentioned, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONHL for $20 off your purchase. Terms apply. Again, download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So you have to love the resilience of this Stars club after going down 2 games in this series. And, you know, there's a lot to be said for what the Stars went through the regular season. And I know sometimes there can be a perspective of who cares what happened. Everything goes back to zero and you just got to find a way. But the moments throughout a season, throughout a journey, I think really helps tell the story of what this Stars team has gone through in this series. They're dealing with injuries to Faksa and Marchment and Hakanpää. They dealt with injuries to Jake Oettinger and Miro Heiskanen for a month. Dadonov was out, and he's played really, really good. He's played really good in the last few games. But their ability to just push through, and they did that while staying within the top 3 of the Central. They never were in a wild card spot or out of the Central Division race, and they go on to win the Western Conference in the regular season. They go on to win the Central, and it just feels like as the series progressing, they're starting to show why they were the best team in the regular season in the Western Conference. And Vegas is really, really good. They are giving the Stars everything they can handle, but you see them continuing to just battle through anything and just find a way to get it done. And it just felt like Game 4 was kind of a culmination of that. The first time or not the first time, but at least for the Stars in the series where they don't score the first goal and they come from behind. They've been phenomenal in that aspect this season in general, but you get the depth scoring, right? Delandry, you get the 4th line to cash in. I mean, even Dadonov with a goal. And you just get performances from Wyatt Johnston again and some of your better players in a game where a lot of your better players too didn't necessarily have phenomenal games in a lot of aspects, but they're starting to show, which they did multiple times in the regular season. It doesn't matter who is not scoring or who's not being productive. They get it from somewhere else. And they unfortunately did not get a lot of that in the first 2 games, but they're starting to find a way to attack this Vegas defense and create some time and space where they can create plays. And they were a bit too conservative with their shot selection in the first period, but that really started to open up after they got the 2 power plays in the second. I mentioned Duchesne passed up a shot in that first period off a Vegas turnover where Johnston fed him in the slot, and it's like, dude, just throw it on net. And then in the power play in the second, I mean, every time he got it, he's throwing it on net. And they're making adjustments, and it really is a chess game between these 2 teams. It's phenomenal hockey, number one. It's phenomenal hockey. Vegas has their best players humming. Eichel, again, you can't stop him. I mentioned it yesterday. Can you stop the big guns? It's really hard. Eichel's so good, along with Marchessault. They both have an impact in the game, but Dallas didn't let it get out of reach, right? And they struck back, and they just hung with it. And it's a true testament to everything that they've been going through this season. And it was such a gutsy performance. It really was. Like the embodiment of an away playoff game. And it was great to see that they just turn it around like that. I mean, game 5 is going to be great. And they're going to need everybody. You're going to have everybody doing their part, and they got it in game 4. Jake Oettinger was great. Tanev, phenomenal. Johnston with a big goal. Duchesne gets on the score sheet too, along with Sagan. And I just think you're starting to see the impact the regular season can have on a team, because they didn't get the easiest draw in the world. They didn't get the easiest draw, but there's a lot of hockey to be played as well. A lot of hockey to be played. I want to make that perfectly clear. Series is far from over, but you're ecstatic. The Stars have the series tied at 2 games apiece. Pretty sure I spelled tied wrong there. Now on the rundown, but too late to fix that. There he goes. There goes my education. That's St. Cloud State for you. So nod to my alma mater. Go Huskies. Go Huskies. But go Stars, man. Go Stars. Yeah. I just read on Twitter. Can't wait for your new episode of Locked On Johnston. Yeah, pretty much. Oh man. It is funny though. You need someone to score. You need someone to have a moment. It's Wyatt Johnston. It's the 20-year-old making it happen. God, he's so good. He's a pleasure to watch. He is. He's a pleasure to watch. And that was a turning point in the game. And give Pete DeBoer credit for switching up the top 2 lines, putting him back, and it sparked something. They benefited from a few calls. They capitalized on one, and then just shut it down. A defensive clinic. A really, really phenomenal defensive third period, like best of the year. So we'll see how it holds up moving forward. It's going to be tough with the 5D, with the amount of hockey Heiskanen and Harley are playing. They would love to get Lundqvist. It'd be nice to get some separation to some degree. We're going to get Lundqvist in the game a bit more. But the Stars they don't have that luxury at this point in time. So we switch over to a pivotal game 5 in Dallas on Wednesday night. It felt like that was going to be a really hard thing to do a few days ago, to come back in game 5 and be tied in the series, but that's what they've done. And you should never have doubted them. I should have never doubted them. That's what they do. We'll discuss some more about game 5 here in just a moment. All right, game off, Stars fans. It's time to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying. We've talked about it so much already, but hear me out. This is such a great game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's much more than that. You got unique stickers you can trade for. With friends, you can complete albums for big prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, and you also have emojis that you can taunt your friends with and smash their buildings and, of course, steal their riches. Plus, Monopoly Go feels like new and exciting everyday challenge with tournaments and different ways to play. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and download it now for free on the Google Play Store or App Store. Once again, Monopoly Go, get off the bench, go download it. It's free on the Google Play Store or the App Store. Game on. So game 5 on Wednesday, by the way, a phenomenal puck drop time, 6:30 Central Standard Time. The NHL listened. Can you believe it? I'm pretty sure it's because mostly due to the fact, even though I think this was official before the series of Florida and Tampa Bay was finale, but it's a 6:30 start time. So shout out to anybody that goes to work the next day. You actually may be able to go to the game, or at least not have to worry about coming home at midnight and waking up the next day. So a 6:30 start time. And it really is an intriguing series because it feels like both teams, and as the series goes on, it's going to be the same, where both sides just almost know how to attack each other. They know how to shut the opponent down. And now it's just those surges and waves of emotion and the momentum that's kind of driving everything. And Vegas really, really shut down Dallas for that first 10 minutes of the second period. Like, Stars were just unable to get to their game. And we saw that in games 1 and 2. And then, of course, it was all Dallas in game 3. But the Stars returned the favor in the third. It's almost two identical teams now going at it, where it's just who's going to blink, right? Who's going to blink? And Vegas just blinked one few too many times here in game 4. I'm just fascinated how both teams are going about their business, because both sides have injury. I mean, Stone's not 100%. Haig was out, which is a big miss for them on the back end. They were without Mantha in game 4, who I thought has been a presence for some of their depth. But it really is intriguing with Dallas and Fox and Marchment. They did not participate in warm-ups here in game 4. So we'll see what that looks like moving forward with another day off here in between 4 and 5. The thing I'm most curious about, and I brought this up for weeks now, is how was this defensive group going to fare as the series goes along? And they've looked really good. They've looked really good for deploying this 5-man unit. And Vegas is certainly trying to take it out of them. And you just hope the wear and tear doesn't become enough where they're unable to be crisp and essentially defend at a high enough level to neutralize a Vegas attack. Look, they answered the question in game 4 for sure in the third period. I mean, that is the best they have looked all year long. And a huge credit to that is Chris Tanev. Like, what a pickup at the deadline for the Stars. We knew that was going to be the case. I mean, look at his expected goals against, 0.35. 0.35. Just surgical stuff from the Stars side. Suter's been great in the series too. I mean, he's been physical. He's made some excellent plays, forcing Vegas to the outside in the third period. He forced Carrier to the outside, or maybe it was Colasar on a bouncing puck, just always in the right position. Dallas is starting to win the net front battles here in the series. And I mentioned that, like, after game 1, it feels like who's ever going to win this series is going to have to win in front of your own net and the opponents. And Dallas has shifted the tide here in 3 and 4, where they're starting to win those battles. They're starting to tie sticks up. You saw it there late in the game with not Lundqvist, but Heiskanen, a Sam Steele on Eichel on that tuck attempt from Marchessault, just finally being in positions to be in the right spot. Lindell broke up that centering pass. I think it was Howden that would have had a slam dunk on the one-timer if Lindell wasn't there. Just like white sweaters in front of the crease and just clearing clearing pucks out of harm's way, and just being responsible. You're starting to see, too, Dallas is more disciplined in their game, and they're adapting better to how the style of the night is transpiring, where it was Vegas that was so comfortable in the first two games dictating play. Now it's Dallas that's starting to dictate. They're starting to force the issue, and it's forcing Vegas into a lot of uncharacteristic plays too. Their back end wasn't particularly great. They fumbled a lot of pucks, which of course fed Dallas. And certainly helped them, but they were really good on draws. They won 53% or so of their dots. On the power play, they were phenomenal there. They were winning key draws. They just did a lot of the details and little things in order to win games. And as the game went on, you just felt like Dallas was the better team, right? And hopefully that continues to be the case moving forward. And Game 5 is going to be awesome. I mean, the AC is going to be insane, and maybe it's the first team that wins a home playoff game that's going to end up being the decider here in this series. So, wow, great stuff though. Series tied at 2. Stars take Game 4 by a final score of 4-2. Smith with a goal, Johnston with a goal. Dadonov with one, and then Roope Hintz delivers the empty netter to seal off the victory. Great stuff overall, and man, yeah, Game 5's going to be a biggie. That's for sure. It feels like whoever wins that game wins the series, right? It just kind of feels like it's going to come down to that, or I mean, it just could go 7. These two teams are so even. I mean, it truly is the most even matchup within the first round, because a lot of series could go night tomorrow night with a lot of the 3-1 series leads that these teams have. Boston's up 3-1, Carolina, Colorado, now Vancouver, Edmonton. Crazy stuff. Alrighty, that does it for today's episode. As always, thank you so much for the support. It truly is amazing. Would not be able to do this without all of you guys. Seriously, the engagement is phenomenal. Just the whole Metroplex, everybody outside of the Metroplex that's just a Stars fan that tunes in every day. Thank you so much. Please be sure to subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Follow Locked On Stars on Twitter. You can follow me too at Joey the Jet 19 if you want. I just throw crap out there sometimes, but it's been exciting here first week and a half now, and a lot more to come. So enjoy your Wednesday here, Stars fans. Enjoy a victory, or Tuesday, I should say. It's late again. These start times are getting late. It's a Tuesday. I forget what day it is. But enjoy the rest of your day. We'll be back with an episode on Thursday, a little preview of Game 5. And maybe just do a quick little hitter there too, by the way, just because I'll be able to put a post game out after Thursday, like before midnight for once here in the first round. So we'll see how I meander through that. Anyways, you'll be updated when you hear me next. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much. As always, Stars win 4-2 in game number 4. Series tied, baby. Coming back to Dallas. We'll see you tomorrow. So long, Stars fans.